Okay, we're finishing off where we're going to continue from where we were last class. So you need to try and be reasonably quick about taking 12 things. You'll need your books, so we'll put today's date. And the heading. I don't think so. The exercise we're referring to in the textbook is 1004, page 222. We won't necessarily need that straight away, but you will need it shortly. Count 12 each and give me the rest. Back. Count out 12 each and give me the rest back. Or hand the rest back to the people behind you. 12 each. Take 12 each and give me the rest back. Better still, take 12 each and hand the rest back over to these guys. 12 each. Hand them back to the point. Okay. 12 each. Lindsay, you can take any spares, put them in the box and bring the box to the front. Okay? Alright. Now let's just go over what we did yesterday. Yesterday you had to divide your 12 into different ratios. Let's do one of those again, or two of them. Let's divide the 12 you have in the ratio 5 to 7. Divide them in the ratio 5 to 7. Thank you. So that means that you're going to separate them into two groups on your table with how many in the first group? 5 and 7 in the second one. Okay. What if I say I want them divided in the ratio 1 to 2? No. 6 in each would be 6 to 6, which would be 1 to 1. 8 in one group. Which group? Group. So you really should have told me 4 to 8, because remember with ratio, the order is important. Now I want you, for what we're moving on to today, to actually make them equal piles. So I want how many piles altogether really? No. 3 piles altogether. And I want you to stack them up. So you have 3 piles, 1 on your left and 2 on your right. Stack them up so you have 1 on your left and 2 on your right. So what we actually have there, Danny doesn't seem to, but the rest of us should have, is when we had 3 piles worth 12, and you have created 1 pile of 4 and 2 piles of 8. Okay? 2 piles of 4 to equal 8. Alright? So you created 3 stacks of blocks. Alright. For the next lot of questions, we're not going to maybe use all 12 blocks. What we're going to do is consider it almost as if it was an empty box. So we're going to just use this box as 1 pile. So in this particular case, if I said to you, I want the ratio of 1 to 2, you would have 1 empty box to 2 empty boxes. So you would have the ratio, or the way your 1 is to 2. Right? Okay, so I want you to see if you can create for me a ratio of 1 to 3. A ratio of 1 to 3. How many blocks have you got? 4. Altogether, 4. So you actually would have 4 shares or 4 boxes, 4 piles that you need to create. Alright? Okay, what about the ratio 2 to 5? 2 to 5. That means on your left hand you would have 2 blocks, which are empty boxes, and on your right hand you've got 5, which means that you have used, for a ratio 2 to 5, you have used 7 boxes. 2 here and 5 there. Right? Follow that? Okay, what about 8 to 3? A ratio of 8 to 3. If you've used 8 to 3, you should have 8 empty boxes on your left-hand side and 3 empty boxes on your right-hand side, which means you have used 11 boxes, shares, piles, whatever you want to call it, any kind of grouped word. Okay. What if I wanted to divide money up? You have to use your imagination here. Smarties later. Money now. I want you to divide $200 in the ratio 1 to 3. So create for me the ratio 1 to 3 again. Right, so you have 1 box on the left, 3 boxes on the right. Now the whole idea, Dylan, the whole idea about dividing things up in a ratio is that you have equal piles in each of your 4, equal amounts in each of your 4 boxes. So what will go in 1 box if you have to fill 4 boxes equally? Ashley? $50. So 4 shares is equal to 200, and so 1 empty box or share has 50. So the ratio 1 to 3 will equal 50 to 150. Yes? Okay, so you write this down, please. Best if you write the question since it's an example. So write divide $200. Divide $200. Right, $200. Divide $200 in the ratio 1 to 3. I've forgotten your book. Then copy down. 4 shares equals $200. 1 share is 50. 1 to 3 is 50 to 150. Now, if we're going to be very good people with this, then we ought to write an English statement at the end of it. So we should say something like the first person gets 50 and the second, that's presuming that was a story about people, the second person, could have been companies I suppose, gets 150. Okay, so you really ought to put some English in at the end to actually answer what the question was. Right, finished? Okay, next one then was the next one that we had. We recreate a ratio of 2 to 5. So recreate your ratio of 2 to 5. 2 to 5, which was how many blocks required? 7. It's starting to seem really easy now, isn't it? Okay, and I actually want you to divide $210. $210 between those 7 boxes in the ratio 2 to 5. I want you to divide $210 into those 7 boxes, but in the ratio 2 to 5. So firstly you have to figure out how much is in 1 box. Just a minute, guys. We'll just let the others have a think first. Danny, you don't need a calculator to do that.
I'm going to get it out, miss.
Oh, you don't need a calculator to do that. What is it, Tanya? One box in each box. Would it be equal to 30? I think it would. How would you find 30? 7. 21 divided by 7 is 3. 210 divided by 7 is 30. Yep, okay, so 2 boxes, 60, 5 boxes, 150. So the first person gets $60 and the second person gets $150. Write that down. Write down the English. So the first person gets 60 and the second person gets 150 again. Right. Okay, let's do one more of that. Let's do 8 to 3. And this time I want to divide $66. You worked it out, Mark? You can't give me one number for an answer if you're going to give me a ratio, because you're going to give me a number for this share and a number for that share, don't you? So, oh, you're telling me what one share is worth. Is that what you're saying? So 11 shares is 66. So you're saying one share. Okay. So what you really wanted to say to me was, is one share 6? And the answer to that would be yes.
So the 8 would be...
Nicole?
Yes.
So, what would the ratio 8 to 3 be? 8 to 3 would equal... Do you follow what's going on?
Yeah. 48 to 18.
It's just that you missed a couple of classes, so I didn't know whether you had caught on. 48 to 18. 6 times 8 and 6 times 3. So we would write the first person gets $48 and the second person gets $18. Alright, now I want you to see if you can make up your own question. But before you do that, if you want to make up an easy question, you can find a bit of a relationship between the ratio and the amount. Have another little look at the numbers that I chose and see if you can see a pattern. Sam. I'm not speaking about a pattern from this ratio to that ratio to that ratio. I'm speaking about a pattern between ratios and amounts. Because I deliberately picked these numbers so that they would be relatively easy to work out. So what numbers am I actually speaking of? I'm speaking of 1 to 3, which is 200, 8 to 3, which was 66, and 2 to 5, which I chose 210. Okay, Bobby Joe? Exactly. They are easily divisible by the total number of blocks you use to create them. 8 and 3 is 11, and 11 goes into 66 with no remainder. 1 and 3 make 4, and 4 goes into 200 nice and easily, no remainder. 2 and 5 make 7, and I deliberately chose a multiple of 7, so you wouldn't have $29.43 or something like that, which would have been okay because you've got a calculator there, you could have handled it. But to start with, I chose something easy for you to work out. So I want you to create for your friend a question and then swap books and see if they can do it. So it would be better if you tried to create one they could do in their head without a calculator. So try to maintain that relationship where the total of numbers of boxes. No, you don't need to restrict yourself to less than 12. You can have a ratio of 25 to 1 if you want, or 100 to 1. Yeah. But then try and find a number that would be a multiple of 101. 202. Yeah. Right. No, but he might beat you up if it's too hard. Then again, Byron's pretty good at conflict resolution, so you might be lucky. You three swap, between you.
We'll probably throw it.
This is good. Could you have something to give me, a tear off slip off the bottom? Okay, there is one, so maybe you might want to bring it back so I just know that I've seen it. Make up a question, swap it over. So the question just has to be divide something. Do you have to restrict yourself to dollars? No, you can have any kind of quantity you like. Kilometres, litres, surfboards.
You're joking, I'm doing my one. That's easy.
Well, what's one box?
I know.
So your question is to divide $5 or $500 in the ratio 4 to 6, which would have been nicer as 2 to 3. Well, obviously we like simple ratios. Okay. So you've got 10 boxes. So how much is in one box? 50. So you're up to there. One box is $50. So 4 to 6 would be 4 lots of 50 and 6 lots of 50. 200 to 300. And notice when you actually add those back up, you still do get your 500. Have you finished doing your friend's question yet?
No.
Can one of you swap with Gary, please? So what do you divide it? $81 in the ratio, 62. Yeah, that's good. That's right. So 9 to $81 3 times. Want a hand? Do you want Gary to do yours for you? Oh, I prefer you to write somewhere 5 shares equals 50 when you're doing your working.
Yeah, that's on your feet.
Right, $100 Well, as I say, I'd like to see somewhere 5 shares equals 100. Just to remind you that what you have to do is total up to start with. You right? Have you swapped?
There's 2 1.
Still.
There you go.
121 divided in the ratio. You shouldn't really use the division sign like that. You're not dividing by, you're dividing in.
81.
And that's line 2 dots to divide by.
Do it. Good one, do one.
9,121.
You should calculate it, Jess.
Oh, 65. 63. Right, Sally? They were supposed to make one up that you could do with your head though, not with that, not with the calculator. What do you have to do?
Who's calculated?
55,649 pounds.
All right then, is that just about enough time? How did you guys start? Huh? Yes. I don't even know if I can find them upset. Okay. Let's see, by 4 is 50. 25 to 1. Dividing them both. No, wait a second. You're dividing them both by 4, aren't you? So isn't it 50 to 1? Are you making up the question or are you doing his question? So you have to divide $408 in the ratio 200 to 4. Okay, so you actually have 204 shares, so 168. No, that can't be right. If 204 shares is $408, one share is only $2, isn't it? So it's 408 divided by 204, it's only 2. So it should be 400 as well. Let me finish this off first. Let's just start again. Just wait a second. You've got $408 and you want 2. So 204 shares is $408. One share is $2. 200 shares would be 400. 2 times 200. And 4 shares is 2 times 4, which is 8. Right? I'll help you in a minute. Okay, let's return to this question here. 2 to 5. But I want to change 210 to something else, not dollars. Enough now, thanks. Sam, Tegan. Okay, I'll go with Smarty. You need to create for me a story to explain why I would want to divide Smarties in the ratio 2 to 5. Nicole? Wait a second. Nicole first, thanks.
Because you might only like one certain colour.
But that how is that going to make a story? How is it going to make a story that says divide 210 Smarties in the ratio 2 to 5?
One person might want one colour and one wants the other colour.
And there's more of one colour, like the blue ones, there's heaps of those. And the brown, no, and then there's a colour like red. Red. There's not many of those.
No, I can't quite see it. Bobby Joe? No, that's a different question, isn't it? Dividing 210 Smarties between 7 people is a different question. How many people have you actually got here? 2. Only 2 people involved in this story. Only person A who gets 2 shares and person B who gets 5 shares. So you need to think of a story as to why 2 people would get different amounts of Smarties. Lindsay.
More of his Smarties than what person B.
Alright, so I had some Smarties and person A stole some.
Yeah. Person B stole some, person A stole.
Person would be paid.
Oh, okay. So, I had some Smarties which I thought I was going to give equally between A and B, but B was greedy and stole some. So, they were now in the ratio 2 to 5. How many did he have? Okay. Think of another quantity. Not Smarties this time, something else. Marbles? Surfboards?
Only Smarties.
Let's move past the chocolate. Bodyboards.
Skittles.
Bodyboards. Can you make me up a story to divide bodyboards in the ratio? We have 210 bodyboards and we want them divided in the ratio 2 to 5. No. If you think you've got a story, put your hand up. Tanya? Sam? Pardon? Yes, you do. What is it? Okay. So, there's 210 surfboards where? On the beach? Bodyboards? In a shop. And a pro surfer and an amateur walk into the shop and they buy some boards in the ratio 2 to 5, which means that the amateur, who would be the amateur do you think, A or B? A would be the amateur and they get, how many boards would they have got? 30, 60. 60 boards and the other person bought 150. Might have been better to knock off a 0 in that story perhaps, eh? 6 boards and 15. Well, maybe they're getting very serious about bodyboards. Okay, I want you to write a story now about the ratio that you created for your friend to do. Well, make a new ratio if you don't want to write about that one. But make a ratio and a quantity and write down a story for that question. You can't work it out. Write $80 in the ratio 23 to 1. 23. So that's 24 boxes altogether. So 80 divided by 24. 10. 80 over 24. They both divide by 8, don't they? So that would be 10 over 3. would be 3 and a third. So one box would have 3 and 1/3. So 23 would have 23 times 3 and a third. Well, it would be 23 wholes, wouldn't it? And 23 thirds. If we divide 23 by 3, follow what I'm saying? One box is 3 and a third. Alright, so 2 boxes would be 6 and 2/3. 3 boxes would be 9 and 3/3. But 3/3 is another whole, so 3 boxes would have 10. Okay. So 23 boxes has 3 and a third times 23. Alright, which would be 3 times 23, which would be 69, and 23 thirds. Now 23 thirds, how many wholes is that? Well, 23 divided by 3 is 2. So you actually had 69 plus 3, 70.
Black and white, not read mine.
How many points they had?
Three boxes. Yeah.
Well, mine was originally dollars,
Had
but I changed it
77
to
apples.
points.
That's what you're
And
saying.
it's doing something.
And you packed them in a ratio, and they went
I
to
have
market in a
different
ratio of
credits
3
you ran
to
out from when
8.
I destroyed it.
How many went to market? 3. Isn't that right? You had 77 apples, and you packed them into boxes. Right. But you don't need to tell that in the story, because that's what the person has to work out. And they were packed into boxes in the ratio, and they went to market in the ratio 3, 8, no, because that's what the person who does the question has to work out. Have you finished? Right, Tegan. As soon as I've answered Ashley's question, you can give me your story. Danny, you'll be second on the story list. And Laura, third.
You're not reading mine. My credit. Sorry, Tia.
Maybe they didn't pay the same amount for the ticket. That would be why they were divided in a different ratio.
Just needs help, miss.
Okay, bit of quiet, listening to Tegan.
No, just needs help, miss. She needs to know how the story makes sense.
No, well, we listen to your story and I'll help Jessica. Yeah. Why not?
Because they thought they already had stories, but then they read mine and realised that they didn't have stories.
So you have a good story that you can
No, it's not good. It is. No.
Alright, well, it'll do.
I'll read it for her.
Okay.
Okay, 2 basketball players were comparing how many points they had in their embryo career. They had a ratio of 1 to 1. They both scored 55,000.
Sorry, Tegan, you'll need to start again because you're not getting full attention. Come on now, please.
2 basketball players were comparing how many points they had in their embryo career. They had a ratio of 1 to 1. They both scored 55,649 points. Together they equaled, okay, this really big number. 111,298.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a good story, but where's the actual question if you were going to make it into a question for someone to do?
My question was, 1 to 1 equals, 1 to the ratio of 1 equals 111,298.
Oh, okay. So the 55,000 would actually be the answer, so it would have been better left out of the question, wouldn't it? So really your question would have boiled down to divide 111,000 in the ratio 1 to 1.
Yeah.
Okay, who else was there? Danny. That was. Right, well, I'll give. Well, let's just go with what you've got then, eh?
What to say the story?
Yep.
We don't have a story. It's just like
Read me what you have. That'll be
1
fine.
to 4.
Yeah.
The little thing that you write, the person, how much each person has. Emma has 1 blue candle, Laura has 4 red candles. That's like the story.
Yeah, okay. So that's a ratio story. If Emma has 1 blue candle and Laura has 4, what's the ratio of candles? But it's not really a dividing something in a ratio story, is it? Danny? Time's up. Read me what you have, please.
There was 30 lollies. One man got 10 lollies, the other got 20. Therefore, the ratio was 10 to 20.
Okay. So if we wanted to create a question for somebody in the class to do, then your story would say 2 men have 30 lollies and they want to divide them in the ratio 1 to 2. How much does each man get? Right? Anybody else got a good story? Great.
There is a Mars bar competition. You can win a free Mars bar. 5 and 6 are losers, and the shop has 121 Mars bars. How many Mars bars are winners?
So the ratio of 5 to 6 is winners to losers. Yeah, that's a good question. Do you understand the question, Colin? However, do you actually think the Mars Bar Company would have a ratio of 5 to 6 of winners and losers?
No, 5 are the losers, and then the last one is
The winners. So a ratio of losers to winners of 5 to 6. Is that likely?
probably not.
No, because every time someone wins they have to pay
For another.
for a prize, for another Mars bar. It's unlikely that the ratio would be 5 to 6. What would be a more realistic ratio if you were running the Mars bar company and you wanted to give a prize for a winner? What ratio of winners to losers? Let's do winners first to losers.
1 to 10.
Emma?
1 to 6.
1 to 6?
1 to 5.
1 to 5? 2 to 10?
That's the same.
1 to 5? Same thing, isn't it?
On that app thing, they had 1 to 6.
Do they? On the
Or was
ad?
it 4?
So is there an ad for the Mars bar company? And says that they're going...
You cheated. 1 to 6.
Well, I must confess I would have thought it would have been more like 1 to 20 or 30. Okay, good. All right. I want to show you one more way of writing these questions out before you start. And then you can have a choice of ways. If the question, let's go back to our $210. So we have divide 210 in the ratio 2 is to 5. Now this is just an alternate way of setting out your working. It is not really any different in actual working in philosophy. If the first share will actually get 2/7 of the prize. Is that right? Because you had 7 piles that you had to divide the money in, and the first person would actually get 2 out of 7 of them. So you could actually just find 2/7 of 210, which means that you have to multiply by 2 and divide by 7. Easier if you divide by 7 first. That's what you did before. You found 30 and multiplied by 2 and got 60. And so what is the second share worth? 150 we already know, because that's 5/7 of 210, 150. So you've got two methods. You can say 7 shares is $210, work out 1 share and then 2 and 5. Or you can go straight to saying, if I have 2 shares out of 7, I must have 2/7 of the money on the left-hand side. And I must have 5/7 of the money on the right-hand side. So, how would I set this one out when I had a ratio of 8:3? I would have said the first person gets 8/11 of 66 and the second person gets 3/11 of 66. Here I would have said the first person gets 1/4 of 200 and the other person gets 3/4 of $200. It has one small advantage, it's probably just a tad shorter in writing, but that's about the only advantage. Which method do you like best? Let's take a sample. Let's have Nicole, Jessica, Daniel and Michelle. Which method would you prefer? The 7 shares, 1 share, which I might add is basically what you call a unitary method, because you go down to 1 and then back up to 2 and 5. Do you prefer the unitary method or the fraction method?
Unitary method.
Okay, Jessica?
Yeah, that one.
Unitary. Michelle? The top one, the unitary one. Who else was it? Daniel, was it you I was asking? Unitary or fraction?
Unitary.
Okay, that's fine. You'll find most people across the world do the unitary method. But you might want to write it that one if you like. All right, exercise 1004. After you've done 1004. I want you to do question 1 and 2. Just do every second one. Can you share with him, please?
Yes.
We're not going to do very much in question 3. Just A, part 1. We get started with that. I'll collect your 12 blocks.
You give it to him.
What are you doing? Get started now, please. Otherwise, you won't have time to do the smarty question.
Stare at it.
Please don't pick me.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm just not writing. I'm just not writing it out at the times. I'm doing the times. Can you make sure you are a good person?
They turn it into a cake. Yeah.
I'm always losing stuff I am.
Let's not waste it. Finish. finish question 1 and 2. It's about 7 questions. It should take you that long to do if you apply yourself.
Do we have to write out the question, Miss?
No.
We do every question.
In fact, I would excuse you from writing the story in question 1. If you wanted to just say divide 16 the ratio 5 to 3, you could just write it as a ratio, the way I did here. You could just write 5 to 3 equals, like, do your working.
That's not in the box.
No, I don't want you to write 5 to 3 equals 16. You've really got to write 8 shares equals 16. Right, because 5 to 3 is 2 separate numbers. So it can't equal one number.
Yeah, right.
5 share would be 10. And 3 share would be.
As a radio, first one is 10 to 6. But you have
Chris, not well. He was away yesterday too.
and you skip, you do every second, so you do A and C and E on the first one. You missed this one.
Who's not working?
You?
Me.
Don't encourage him. Go on, get on with your work.
Good to know that.
Stop hitting me. That's right.
Yeah. Yep.
Because we were going to do smarties with the other stuff, so I've got them when I was with you. Right? Finished?
He's a robot.
Yes, 3. I'm handing around a sheet for the next activity. Should you work fast enough and well enough to get there, otherwise I keep the smarties. On the back of it, the back of it's not important, it was just he's using up scrap paper.
That work? Yeah.
We don't use a slash, we use dot.
You told me to use a slash.
Oh, dot was right. Let's say you move back a little bit, so you're out of reach.
So you don't do that, you have to do that.
Yes, that's right.
You don't have to do 3 of them.
And
And all that.
4 of them. Which question is it?
420 the ratio of 7.
Okay. So how many lots do you have? So what's in one lot, one share?
35.
How do you work that out?
420 divided by
20 divided by 12.
35.
Okay, so you've written down 12 shares equals 420, 1 share equals 35, so then you'd have to just do 7 times 35 and 5 times 35.
45.
With Alicia and all.
Yeah, that's the answer.
To know how they got the answer.
You might know that?
Yep. How come you had to get that microphone put there?
So that they could listen to me talking to you.
So they can't hear us, but they can only hear you.
Probably.
You don't know how to
Yes?
I do.
No, you're only left to play.
I want the Smartie.
Oh no, you won't stop talking.
I was going to use this to bribe my mum to get me some Smarties.
Okay, there's only 10 or so minutes to go. So what you can do is finish question 1 and 2 for homework. We'll do question 3 next class. You can start on the Smartie sheet and that can be completed for homework as well. Right? So,
I'll need a few.
follow the instructions on the sheet. You can't eat the Smarties until you have completed question 1. No, hold it. Be sensible with them, please. And I might point out that you need... No, listen. Be quiet. Be quiet or I'll just forget about the whole thing. You need to keep this sheet because the information you're collecting today we're going to be using when we get to the next topic or 2 topics down the road on statistics. No. Everybody got a box? No, I get it. He does use it. Okay, make a prediction first.
My prediction is 12.
How many?
Is it?
Kelly, did you?
I just counted it. Did ya? I said my prediction is 12, and then you go, wow, it's 12.
Okay. The table you have there has got colour, tally and frequency. You won't need the tally column because you only use a tally column when you've got lots to count and you don't have very many. So when you've opened your packet, count how many of each colour you are and write that in the frequency column because frequency means how many. Then you write 2 in the frequency.
I got more pink. I got 5 pink.
So against yellow you will not. Add it on the bottom then. Well, then you can. Well, how many blues have you got? None. Well, actually, why don't you just cross tally off? Like frequency there and use it one.
Okay, now you put it in the draw.
How many? Yeah. So blue is none, brown is 1.
That's
Red is 3. Once you've completed,
what do you got to complete? Just the
tally's the working column.
frequency?
Frequency is the answer. So we don't really need a working column.
Look at these, so tempting. And now I've got what subject do I have?
Yes, I'll
Shut up. That's next one. I've got all the colours into my hand. Yes, can we eat them after we just do the frequency?
Yes. He's got 13.
What does it mean by frequency?
Frequency means how many. That's what I'm about to do. Just have a quick look at this. Let's presume that I only had a total of 3, 4, 5, 6 Smarties. And I only had blue, red and green. How would I work out the percentage of blue? Well, I have 3 out of 6. And to change a fraction to a percentage, you must multiply by 100. That's a half. So I really could just do that in my head, 50%. How would I work out this fraction? That would be 2 out of 6, which is a third.
33.33.
33.3 for Peter. And 1 out of 6. I think that's 16 or so, isn't it? 16.
No.
16.6.
Yeah, it was.
So, you're going to have a different number here to 6, aren't you? How many did you have, Sally? 13. What an awkward number, but never mind. How many did you have, Jessica? 13. 12. Anybody have 14? 13 or 12. So, your number here won't be 6, it will be 12 or 13. It's easier if you use your calculator in this case, especially if you've got 13 because it's an awkward number.
You have to write down the
Well, you will write something over 13. Would be a good idea too, so you remember how to do it. How many? No, the tally is the working column for the frequency.
What if you got 0 in this stats right equals
Something out.
So, what have you got? 4 blue out of 12. So you write 4 bracket 12 times 100. Well, you're lucky because 4 over 12 is a third. And a third of 100 is easy to work out. I already know a third is a percentage. 33 and a third. I'm going to try her calculator. How are you going to continue working without a bar? Calculator would be helpful too. Did you remember a calculator today? No. Well, you've got your yearly exam coming up, you know, in the third week or so next month. So might be an idea to get yearly exam. What for?
I can have any blues, any browns, one green,
That can't be right.
no orange,
This means, doesn't mean percentage of total. It means what percent is blue out of the total. It's obviously nothing, nothing. Now you have to do 1, 12 times 100 to work out that colour's percent. Alright? No, you more. Well, that's lucky for you. You only have to. Yeah, like pink, yeah, orange and black equal. 8 1/3.
good chewy though.
Do you know how to work this out?
It's alright. She used to get cut. You want to put it
1 which is always
okay, do you know?
3 fraction 12, 3 fraction 12, 1 fraction 12, 1 fraction 12,
Go, only. That's a good one.
not 1 by 100.
It's not able to do that.
Jonesy.
I'm not really up on Smarties because of happening. Are they famous people? Or are they marketing? No, I don't know. Sorry.
I got 99.7.
Did you, when you add them up, make it 6 repeater and 3 repeater, or just 6 and 3? Well, and that's where you probably you've got a little extra.
I got a little less. I got 99.7.
This is better than yours. Yeah, because he's knocked off the extra 3s and 6s, so you expect him to be short. You don't really expect you to be long.
We also had different lists.
Is that a 3 or an 8?
8.
I'm doing something.
8.3.
So that's why you're over.
99.9 then.
Because, okay, that's a very small part, the 0.33333, but when you add up 3 of them, you've got a whole, haven't you? Okay. Let's just reassess where we are. Time to go. You have for me exercise 1004, question 1 and 2 to work on. You have the assignment that I gave you, which is due Friday. The one about the replica of the first fleet. Be in your book. That's due Friday. If you do not need your Smarties packet, please put it in the box on the way past. If you are in Mr. Anderson's class now, then perhaps you could stay behind in case we need some help.
And cut.
Make sure you put your chairs in. Desks back where they should be.